This video is part of our ongoing series exploring the Civil War through original photographs. In this episode, we follow the timeline of two key battles, Antietam and Fredericksburg, using images taken during and after the fighting to better understand what happened and who was there. If you find this kind of historical content helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos in the series. And feel free to share with anyone interested in American history. Between the fall of 1862 and the winter of 1863, the American Civil War reached a fever pitch. Two campaigns, Antietam and Fredericksburg, would define this phase of the conflict with horror, heartbreak, and heroism. In this film, we trace those bloody months through the lens of 35 rare photographs. Each image captures a moment in time and the heavy cost of history. Dead men at the picket fence, Antietam. On September 17, 1862, Robert E. Lee's first invasion of the North culminated near Sharpsburg, Maryland, beside Antietam Creek. Here, Stonewall Jackson's men made their stand at a picket fence near the Miller cornfield. By dawn's end, the ground was soaked with blood and bodies, Federal and Confederate alike. Pontoon Bridge at Berlin, Maryland. A month later, in October, this photograph was taken at Berlin, today's Brunswick, Maryland. It shows the pontoon bridge General George McClellan used to cross the Potomac for the last time as commanding general. His hesitation after Antietam had cost him Lincoln's confidence. Crossing after Antietam, soon after the battle, McClellan was relieved. His replacement, the reluctant but ambitious General Ambrose Burnside. Lee's headquarters, Sharpsburg, Maryland. Lee's command post sat just west of Sharpsburg. From this modest high ground, he coordinated the defense of his outnumbered army. It was only through inspired leadership and the slowness of McClellan's attacks that the Army of Northern Virginia survived. 35th New York at South Mountain. Days before Antietam, Union troops broke through at South Mountain. Among them, the 35th New York Infantry, whose stiff fighting helped clear the Confederate rearguard and forced Lee to consolidate near Sharpsburg. Colonel T.J. Moorhead, Sedgwick's charge. Colonel Thomas Jefferson Moorhead of the 106th Pennsylvania would distinguish himself at Antietam during Sedgwick's charge into the West Woods, a move that ended in disaster for the Union. Knapp's Battery, Hagerstown Pike Fence. Near this fence on the Hagerstown Pike, Jackson's troops again rallied. Knapp's Union Battery held the position after one of the bloodiest artillery duels of the battle. West Woods, where Sedgwick fell. This open ground, just beyond a split-rail fence, became a killing field. After pushing through the East Woods, Sedgwick's division was flanked by McLaws and Walker's Confederate reinforcements and torn apart in the West Woods. Ruins of Mumma's house. Mumma's farmhouse, located near the center of the Union advance, was burned early in the battle to prevent its use by Confederate sharpshooters. The scorched stone remained stood at the far left of D. H. Hill's line. The sunken road, Bloody Lane. At the center of the Confederate position ran an old farm lane, eroded deep into the ground. Here, Hill's men resisted wave after wave of Union attacks until finally breaking. Thousands of dead carpeted the roadbed. Major General Israel Richardson. Richardson, leading a division of the 2nd Corps, was mortally wounded at the sunken road, struck by a Confederate shell after the position had fallen. Harvest at Bloody Lane. This haunting image captures the aftermath. The sunken road became known as Bloody Lane, a name that still chills the heart. Brigadier General Caldwell and staff. General John Caldwell and his staff are seen here. His brigade had fought bravely during the storming of the sunken road, enduring severe casualties. Burnside's Bridge. Downriver, Burnside's men struggled for hours to take this narrow stone bridge, held by a handful of Georgians from Toombs' brigade firing down from the heights. Sherrick's house. This nearby farmhouse bore witness to the final stages of the battle. Burnside's crossing came too late in the day to break Lee's line. General A.P. Hill. But Burnside's breakthrough would be short-lived. Hill, racing from Harper's Ferry with 5,000 men, slammed into the Union left, saving Lee's army from disaster. Road near Sherrick's house, 79th New York. The 79th New York Highlanders fought along this road, where Burnside's assault was halted. Their bravery was not enough to break the Confederate defenses. Lutheran Church, Sharpsburg. This Lutheran church, east of Sharpsburg, marks the furthest extent of the Union advance. Here the great battle ground to a halt. By nightfall, over 22,000 men were dead, wounded, or missing, the bloodiest day in American history. Lincoln visits Antietam. On October 3, 1862, President Lincoln visited the battlefield and the troops. Here, he stands beside General McClernand and Detective Allen Pinkerton. Fredericksburg, disaster for Burnside. December 1862. Burnside, now in command, led a bold attack across the Rappahannock River. But what followed was catastrophe. Aftermath of Fredericksburg. This image shows the battered town of Fredericksburg just after the fighting. Union forces had crossed into a trap. Telegraph Road and Mary's Heights. This photograph shows Telegraph Road and the slopes of Mary's Heights, where Sumner's Right Grand Division was slaughtered in piecemeal attacks. Burnside and Franklin at Stafford Heights. General Franklin, commanding the Left Grand Division, reported that Burnside's plan had failed disastrously. The army was crushed across the front. Aquia Creek Landing, February 1863. After the battle, the Union Army wintered near Aquia Creek. Here we see one of its key logistical bases as the Army regrouped for the spring. Tyler's Connecticut Battery. These cannon, part of Tyler's Connecticut Battery, rest silently on the same ground where battle once thundered. Pontoon boats in transit. These heavy pontoon boats, carried on wagons, arrived too late to save Burnside's offensive. Their delay doomed the Union's chance of surprise. Fredericksburg Riverbank, the Flaming Heights. Taken from the Union side of the Rappahannock, this photo shows the view Confederate riflemen had, watching blue-coated troops gather and die beneath Mary's Heights. Target for Federal guns. Fredericksburg suffered terribly under Union bombardment. Homes became hospitals, then ruins. This building served 3 times as a field hospital. Music on the bridges. As Franklin's men crossed, General Devens ordered the regimental band to play. Amid smoke and death, music rang out, bold and eerie. Officers of the Irish Brigade. The famed Irish Brigade, led by General Thomas F. Marr, lost over 41% of its strength in the charge against Mary's Heights. This photo shows its surviving officers. Mary's Heights, the summit of slaughter. Here at the stone wall above the sunken road, Confederates under Longstreet waited behind perfect cover. Federal troops died in waves, 3 deep, unable to reach the wall. Lacey House, Sumner's headquarters. General Sumner directed his doomed assaults from the Lacey House. His orders sent thousands to their deaths on the slopes below. Lee's veterans at Fredericksburg. Behind Fredericksburg, on Willis Hill, Lee's veterans, many of them fresh from Antietam, repelled every Union assault with ruthless precision. Burnside's headquarters at Phillips House. From a Phillips House, Burnside watched his army bleed. Here, he ordered and then rescinded wave after wave of attack. Ruins of Phillips House. By December 14th, Burnside made his final, and perhaps only wise, decision. He would not renew the assault. The Phillips House stood in ruins, much like his reputation. From the banks of Antietam Creek to the icy slopes of Fredericksburg, these photographs reveal the human cost of command decisions, the endurance of soldiers, and the failure of strategy. They are not just relics of the past. They are warnings to the present. If this story moved you, consider subscribing to the channel for more photo-based history of the American Civil War.